Welcome back, Marvel fans! Have you ever come across a deleted scene from a Marvel film that you wish had actually made the final cut? Of course, we all have. These little gems leave you wondering things like, why was this cut from the film? Or, who thought that was a good idea? Let's just admit that for every incredible piece of MCU content to make it to the big screen, there must be a small handful of not-so-impressive deleted scenes to come along with it. In fact, we even put out a video on deleted scenes that we are glad were deleted. But today, we're taking a different approach by giving our picks for some of the deleted scenes we wish weren't deleted. So stick around to the end to let us know if we missed any that you think should have made the cut. First up, W'Kabi and Okoye discuss T'Challa's defeat from Black Panther. Just after T'Challa is thrown from the cliff and Killmonger is named king, Okoye and her husband W'Kabi originally had a scene in the throne room where they discussed T'Challa's defeat at the hands of their new king. Okoye calls W'Kabi out for wanting T'Challa to lose, and W'Kabi defends his position, saying that T'Challa was not fit to lead, and Killmonger is. This scene brings out a pair of amazing performances from Daniel Kaluuya and Danai Gurira as it fleshes out their characters and gives some great information on W'Kabi and why he stands so firmly with Killmonger's cause. Unfortunately, director Ryan Coogler said this scene just didn't fit in the final cut of the film. Thor: The Dark World's alternate ending from Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World originally had a different ending. Instead of returning to Earth in the post-credits scene, Thor and Jane Foster instead had a heart-to-heart where they decided that they should break up because their paths in life just don't align. Thor argues it, saying that he and Jane can come and go from Asgard as they please, but Jane fights back, saying that she needs to focus on her life and he needs to focus on his, and that even though they both love each other, their differing paths in life make a relationship extremely difficult. Now, we know Natalie Portman has made her return to the MCU in Thor: Love and Thunder, but the reason Jane Foster never popped up in Thor: Ragnarok is apparently because Portman never signed a new MCU contract, so her character was simply written out of the franchise with the line, "I'm sorry Jane dumped you." Interesting side note, Jane Foster's cameo in Avengers Endgame was the result of the Russo brothers using a stand-in actress, or using footage and deleted scenes from Thor: The Dark World to make the scenes with Jane Foster. Natalie Portman was never actually on set. The Dark World's original ending would have made more sense with the future of the MCU. And even though at the time they had no way of knowing how things would play out with Portman, looking back on it now, the original ending with the pair breaking up would have helped with continuity. And since the second Thor film ends with the couple split up and then a post-credit scene brings Thor back to Earth, it seems like director Alan Taylor actually wanted the original ending to be canon, but it was reshot. Natalie Portman didn't even play Jane in the post-credit scene. Chris Hemsworth's wife did. It's anyone's guess as to why they changed the ending of Thor: The Dark World, but the original ending with Jane and the God of Thunder breaking up seems like it serves the story and the future of the MCU better than the ending we got. Loki speaks to the Other during the Battle of New York from the Avengers. There was a pair of scenes during the Battle of New York in the first Avengers film where Loki speaks to the Other. The first of these scenes has him at the top of Avengers Tower when the Other contacts him. The Other tells the God of Mischief to take care of the ones who would resist and mow down everyone else. Loki seems skeptical of that idea and the Other smiles. That's where the conversation ends. The second scene takes place after Loki loses the scepter. The Other complains that Loki downplayed how much resistance there is, and Loki talks back by saying that the Chitauri are worthless. The Other tells Loki that the Chitauri welcome death, and Loki responds, "That may be the problem." Then, the Other tells him to use the scepter to lead them, and that's the moment when Loki realizes that he dropped the scepter. The first of these scenes is hugely important for Loki's character, and it is a mystery as to why this scene was removed, considering that it wouldn't affect the pacing at all. All it would do is give us more depth to our two villains. It shows that the Other is ruthless, and more importantly, it shows that Loki is not pure evil. It also implies that this entire invasion might be partially against his will, as if he is being controlled and forced to do this. The second scene just gives us more of that. This scene is not completely necessary, but it is nice to see Loki be unhappy with the performance of his army, and it also gives some insight into the mind of the Chitauri. They are not mindless savages. They are honorable warriors, at least in their eyes. Captain America ditches his helmet from Avengers: Age of Ultron. In the third act of Avengers: Age of Ultron, Captain America does not wear a helmet. But why? Well, there's a deleted scene that explains this. Once the Quinjet drops Captain America, Hawkeye, and the twins in Sokovia, Cap is about to put his helmet on when he sees a piece of graffiti of himself with the word "fascist" written on it. Steve decides to ditch the helmet to show his face to the people of Sokovia. Not only does this show that Cap is an honorable man, but this quick scene also provides some nice world building by showing another example of the growing disdain for the Avengers shared by the Sokovians. The first mention was at the beginning of the film when a citizen threw an acid bomb at one of the Iron Legion. Now, this scene obviously wasn't needed for the final film, but we don't see why it couldn't be included. Whiplash's original death from Iron Man 2. We all remember Iron Man 2's final fight. Iron Man and War Machine team up to defeat Whiplash when he arrives with an Iron Man armor of his own. After defeating him, Tony Stark saves Pepper Potts after Whiplash detonates all the bombs in the drones. But that was not always how it went. Originally, after escaping Black Widow, Ivan Vanko made his way back to the Stark Expo and blended in with everyone else while Iron Man and War Machine fought off the drones. He finds Pepper Potts and holds her hostage. Shortly after, he now has Tony in his grasp and puts a second whip around his neck. For a second, it seems like Whiplash is in complete control, but fortunately for the good guys, Pepper had an idea up her sleeve, allowing her and Tony to escape their restraints just before Rhodey hits Vanko with the ex-wife. And this time, it actually hits and kills Vanko. Keep in mind, this scene looks really rough. That's because the CGI was never finished because they cut it early. It would have looked much better in the final film. The final fight in Iron Man 2 feels very similar to the first film. The villain comes in with a suit of his own and Tony has to use a beam to kill him that heavily damages himself in the process. This alternate ending seems more genuine and distinct from the first film, and even gives Pepper a role in the finale. While the final battle we saw in theaters is good, we wonder if it would have been more of a crowd pleaser if they did use this original. But we'll never know. What are your thoughts on these deleted scenes? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching!